550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hater plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a date with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In the yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the oh well. Need 100 million on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing kush clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Welcome back, everyone, to Titan Esports Divinity League. We're week 2, and we're already down with the first game, heading into game number 2 with TFF Alfstronauts versus Monkey Supreme. I'm joined by Professor Mouse. We saw an incredible first game. How are you feeling about the second game?
You know what? Something I tell my teams is that if you follow your back. If you can look up, you can get up. You have comeback power. You've got to be hungry. And so I believe that MKS is going to bring that energy today and perhaps have a comeback in game 2. I think the official predictions was to be a 2-1 in favor of MKS, but we might see an upset to that. I think this game can go either way. There were strengths that both teams were able to display in that first game, and it was almost a game of tug of war when looking at the gold differentials. TFF would pull ahead, MKS comes right back, TFF pulls again, MKS gets another team fight, and then it closes it out with TFF. And so I'm excited for what this next draft is going to be, and perhaps that will give us some insights into their strategy.
That's right, and we're going to see how that plays out. We get the Briar Band yet again from TFF Alfstronauts. Someone on the side of Monkey Supreme, presumably Myth, must be quite good on the Briar. Not a champion you see very often in competitive, but hey, in the right hands, it could be good. This is a fearless draft as well, so all the champions used from the first game are not eligible, so you're not even going to see it in the bans either. And we see a Caitlyn and Cassiopeia bans, respectively.
Quick correction on that. They are not able to play the same champions they picked, but they can pick the same champions their opponents played. Correct?
Oh, is that? I think, to my knowledge, I believe it's no one can. Yeah. So it's
no one can play regardless. Okay, that is
yeah. So
interesting.
Adds a lot more diversity for sure into these games as well. We do see the Caitlyn and Misfortune bans as well, double ADC bans. I think these are almost the same bans we saw from the first game, actually, in the same order. But it looks like Alfstronauts are going to pick up the Ashe as their first pick. Definitely a very solid ADC, especially with the bans of Caitlyn and Misfortune.
I'm not interested in the Caitlyn ban. The MF makes sense to me, especially for a team fight composition that MKS executed on that first game. They want to eliminate the ability to do something similar. We do see the Varus pick. Varus is one of the stronger ADCs right now, paired with the Braum, who is a very strong blind support and can help block that Ashe ult or any skill-based ultimate from TFF.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Braum definitely going to be able to proc a lot of those stuns as well with the Varus as behind it. We get the Senna pickup, likely Senna support on the side of TFF Alfstronauts. So double range bot lane is going to be pretty annoying, especially in that early game for Monkey Supreme. But I think in the late game, the Braum can be pretty crucial for some of these team fights. We did get the Wukong as well picked up on the side of TFF Alfstronauts. Likely going to be a Wukong jungle met by the Viego pickup on the side of Monkey Supreme.
Ooh, these are both very nasty. The Senna makes sense to me as you want to get a range advantage against Braum, and Braum's very good at isolating melee targets. And then Wukong, as we spoken earlier in round 1, is a very strong jungle draft. But then that's met with Viego, who has equally been strong since the end of last season. And with the CC that MKS has, it's very easy to pick apart somebody out of position and get that reset and snowball the team fight.
Yeah, we're not as much frontline so far for the Alfstronauts, so we're going to see a Gwen ban as well and a Renekton ban. So really trying to limit some of the top lane options for the side of Monkey Supreme. They're probably going to want to have to pick up an AP champ as well at some point in time. Likely going to be an AP mid, and there we go. He gets Syndra. Going to be plenty of AP damage for sure. I mean, still have a chance to pick up maybe a Rumble top if they need more AP damage, but I don't think that's quite necessary at this point in time. Oh, and we get the Mbessa as well. Mbessa does sneak through the ban phase. I completely forgot about that too. Mbessa quite strong in this current patch as well, and really going to make that top lane matchup quite interesting.
Perfect here. Ahri in the mid, so there's a lot of dive and pick potential for TFF, looking for those single targets advantages as well as, well, I was about to say some team fight potential, but there's not a whole lot of team fight there. It's just a lot of pick and immediate burst damage. MKS is still taking a traditional front to back composition with the Orin and Syndra and Varus and Braum, while having Viego as a snowballing mechanic available to their team. It's kind of a wild card. If he gets ahead, it's going to be a feast, and if he falls behind, it could be a famine.
Yeah, those Viego resets can be super crucial in team fights if you can get them through. But like you said, if you fall behind early, it might not be as useful here. I think the best pick is definitely really solid. Have a great way to start some engages here, but definitely a little bit on the squishier end on the side of Alfstronauts. Meanwhile, quite a bit of frontline for Monkey Supreme. We're going to have to see how they play out these laning phases as well, too. And Bessa is quite annoying to play into. So if you let Ultimate snowball a little bit too fast on the Bessa, it could spell some disaster. And Bessa also a great way to kind of get to that Syndra, who has just incredible range.
Well, go ahead and pull up a stat check real quick. I'm not too familiar how the Orin and Bessa fight goes. I actually think Orin does well into someone like Mbessa, but I could be incorrect on that one.
Yeah, let's be frank here. I'm not the best top laner, but I do play it once in a while in some of my ranked games, and I've tried playing Ornn into the Bessa, and I think the Bessa knows what they're doing. It's not a fun time for Ornn because you just can't really trade long. However, the Living Forge passive from Ornn does allow you to kind of stay in lane a bit longer than most champs too. But Ornn's team fight potential, especially mid to late game, is definitely not to be underestimated. So still could be quite good for Monkey Supreme, but they are down one game, and this is a best of 3, so they definitely need to win this game to force game number 3. Alfstronauts, though, they are number 1 seed currently in the Divinity League, not dropping a single game in week 1, whereas all other teams that won it dropped at least 1 game. So they're looking to keep their undefeated streaks alive. Let's see if they can do it, or if Monkey Supreme can, kind of pull off a slight upset and force a game number 3.
Those statistics did come back to me on that Orin matchup, and Mbessa does win. I was surprised to see Mbessa dominates a lot of the tanks in the meta.
Yeah, definitely. It's just she just kind of shreds a lot of these top laners, especially in that melee combat. But here we go. We see all 5 members of Monkey Supreme heading down towards this bot side here too. Maybe looking for a slight invade. We'll see. I mean, especially with the Braum as well too, you could definitely get some potential good picks here. Looks like it's going to be met by TFF Alstronauts. It could be a pretty interesting 5v fight here. They're walking this tribe bush kind of blind. Let's see what they can do here. They do get the Banshee. Oh, and the charm comes through on the Braum. Braum is instantly shredded, is forced to flash out, but the first blood is going to go over the side of Alfei. And then, of course, we get the, some of the opposing damage to the Viego reset on the Braum. Chrome alone is going to take down the Ornn, though. Ultimate going in does pick up a kill as well. This is feats of strength for warfare already going over to the side of Alfstronauts. This fight is bloody, and Myth goes down as well. A flash charm comes through on Stepbro and the Varus, but the Blast Cone does get Stepbro to safety. Almost a team wipe right off the start.
I find it very interesting that Stepbro's the only one who didn't get pounded there. Score is 4-2 in favor of TFF. As far as tactical decisions, smart to stack in that bush there, and it definitely paid off for them, getting both the first blood and a 2-kill advantage starting 1 minute into the game with a goal differential of nearly 1,000. I think it's 700.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Alpha and that first charm to catch that Braum off guard is definitely just what set up that fight there, too. We got a slight reset for Myth on that Viego, but just not quite enough to do much here, too. So this bot lane does have a slight gold advantage as well, too. 2 kills already, plus 3 assists for them. Meanwhile, just the 1 kill for Stepbro and that Varus here. And again, this lane is going to be pretty annoying just because of that double range to begin with.
Was already annoying. It's going to be worse. We see both Ashe and Senna have been able to recall and spend that gold, coming in with a long sword each, which is an additional 10 points of damage.
All right, and we get to see a little fun little replay here. Unfortunately, Monkey Supreme, I like the idea, but walking in here blind was a little tough. Alpha, and then there's also the root from the center as well. That Braum had nowhere to go. But the early kill on the Wukong does help out Viego and Monkey Supreme just a little bit. But the chase down from Chrome alone, and I love the aggression from Ultimice as well, to just frontline for the team. Gets a kill in return and secures that first feats of strength for warfare. That's huge. They're already, you know, quite ahead in this first few minutes.
Short period of time. There was an additional fight here, and the game score is now 5-3 in favor of TFF.
Yeah, Varus is going to
Phenomenal
go
start. Looks
down.
like Senna dropped, but Ash was able to pick up a kill.
Yeah, definitely. And 2 kills right to this Ash, 3 assists. No slowing down in sight too. This is it's gonna be a tough game for Monkey Supreme. Let's see if Stepbro can just kind of CS from afar, just try to catch up a little bit on the goal differential here too, between especially the Ash in this situation. Ultimice does have that gold lead over the Ornn. You can see this fight already breaking through, but a great knockup from Steel Fan. But however, you just after the initial combos come out from Ornn, you just can't really stay in that fight. Lord JK, Alpha A is going to just trade back and forth here.
It's still a decent fight to take. By doing so, you force Ornn to back. You're able to crash the wave and build a small gold advantage by denying CS and minions. This also forces Ornn to use his TP to get back to lane, but because of the changes, he is still going to miss that CS.
Yeah, we see actually a cold start from Steel Fan on this Ornn, which is kind of interesting. Unfortunately, misses the knockup, but does a sizable amount of damage. Ultimice, though, doesn't mind trading long with this Ornn as well, too. So, definitely going to be a good one. And then Myth dropping some vision here. No further fights for the time being.
That's got to be a first for me. I don't think I've ever seen a Cole on an Ornn. But if his plan is to play safely and scale through the lane, I can see the advantages for it, but it is going to make his early game a bit weaker, as Ornn doesn't scale very well with AD.
No, definitely not. Maybe just going for a little bit more econ build too. I don't know if he's going to regret it or not. Dorn Shield is usually the preferred start here. We got some poke going on this bottom side. Nothing too crazy, but Chrome alone, probably feeling great about how this game has started.
Now, I've got a question for you and for the chat here to make your predictions about the Varus build. It's a debate I've had with some of my students, both the lower and higher elo players, about the optimal build for Varus. Both the lethality and on-hit build has seen success in the Pro League at different levels, and it tends to be under certain conditions that one prevails over the other. What build do you think that Stepbro will be taking in today's game?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, typically speaking, I'll probably take a look at the runes here. As we see a small potential fight going through, Myth is going to stun him. Ultimice is going to get away to safety, though, with that Sundering Slam just combination. But I think that this is probably going to be a lethality Varus, which I think is pretty solid. No real tanks on the side of TFF Alfstronauts, so don't really need that shred damage as much. And, you know, with that lethality build as well, you could really poke out, especially the Ahri, the Ashe, the Senna, especially from range. So could be pretty good in those situations. But a lot of reasons to go the other build as well, just maybe not in this game.
You know where somebody is, you know where they're not, and we see TFF getting hot with the dragon, taking the first dragon. Now, Viego is using this knowledge to go ahead and secure those Voidlings, and Bessa, Ultimice hovering around looking to threaten, but is forced to pull back by the Syndra, who got crashed a wave and built that lane priority.
Yeah, and Void Grubs are going to go over to the side of Monkey Supreme, so just go and trade some objectives here. But Feats of Strength Warfare has already gone over to the side of Alfstronauts, so they're looking to try to secure their fancy boots for a second game in a row as soon as possible. Stepbro, though, chopping away this Wukong quite a bit, so not able to steal that Gromp quite yet. Hawkshot just going to get some additional vision here. And yeah, everyone just returning back to lane to farm.
Now 6 minutes into the game, 7 minutes into the game, score is still 5-3 with a gold differential of 500 in favor of TFF. Now, interesting enough is each kill is worth 300 gold, meaning that MKS, through other means of acquiring gold, is slowly but surely closing that gap. As the gold differential is less than 2 kills worth.
Yeah, I was going to say, we see the Ornn coming through as well. Does connect on top of them Bessa, but the public execution lands as well. We get a solo kill for Ultimice. Love to see that as well. Just barely surviving the tower shot too. And that's 2-1 already for this Bessa. And Bessa's starting to look a bit scary here.
Oh, as close as that fight was with the tower aggro, I have to wonder if the choice to take Cole ended up being the deciding factor there. If they had another 150 HP through Doran Shield or a Ruby Crystal, they might have survived long enough for an additional tower shot to go off.
All right, and you see some of the poke coming through here. Myth looking to try to help out the team, but the position just too strong for the side of Chrome and Barolo, just hugging their turret a bit, and that range just able to just push them away. As you see a replay here from this combo, you know, chunking away a bit on Ultimize. I think the fact that even though this Ornn ultimate did land, just not close enough to do any follow-up damage. And look at that public execution, just catching it on just the edge there of that skill. It looks like it was going to even miss there, but Ultimize and the Bessa is going to be able to land it and get that solo kill on that Ornn.
Going back to the bot lane here, we do see the typical tango of the bot lane ADCs and support exchanging blows. As a double range bot lane, your goal is to chip away at their resources and force them to back, building that advantage, or wait for them to miss position. While bot lane is, as a melee into a double range matchup, is looking to survive and get these extended fights, waiting for them to push up. If they can land a Braum Q, another fight breaks up top, interrupting me with Ultimize getting another kill on the Ornn. Myth coming in for the gank, hoping to make up that kill, but I think Mbessa Ultimize is going to be safe.
Yeah, I don't know if Myth really even wants to fight this. I mean, 2-level advantage for Ultimize and just so much lifesteal on that Mbessa and sustain. It's not going to make it easy even for the Viego at this point, too. But Ultimize definitely feeling himself. It looks like Myth changes his mind, tries to go for a kill here. We see actually the Varus and the Braum coming over to help as well. This might be the chance they get. Public Execution is going to land on Myth, and it's going to get chunked away, forcing Myth to flash out here. We got Stepbro coming in, gets the re-engage, gets the ultimate on the Mbessa, but Mbessa's not going down anytime soon. Grabs Myth, shreds through Stepbro as well. And unfortunately, the shutdown actually goes to Yukino, but hey, at that point, you just need to take out this Mbessa as much as possible. Meanwhile, a tower dive is going to go through on top of Steelfan. Steelfan just getting caught in a tower in a really hard place, unfortunately, on this Ornn. And the dive is successful. I mean, Ultimize, you got to feel good about that one, right? You get the solo kill on the Ornn. You get the Myth, the kill on the Viego as well, while being dove by 3 members of Monkey Supreme. And the shutdown goes over to the Braum, so you're feeling pretty good.
I would imagine so. A strategy of the game or core concept what players are trying to do is minimize and maximize simultaneously. This means maximizing your own gold and minimizing the gold that your opponent gets. And Best in that position was not going to get out alive, so they had to minimize their gold or their opponent's gold by securing a kill for themselves, mitigating any gain they might have got. And by committing those resources to the top lane, the rest of their team was able to make a play on the bot side.
Yeah, Ultimize. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I knew it was going to happen at least once in this stream. It was pretty good so far. But I was about to say, we see the fruits of the labor for MKS as they made a tactical decision to swap their bot and top side, allowing them to better respond to the upcoming grubs. The result of that decision to make that lane swap allowed them to get the second set of grubs, giving them a total of 6 and putting severe pressure on any tower they try to split for the rest of the game.
Yeah, now they're just one, epic monster away from getting this Feast of Strength for them, which they definitely need because they're already behind on the Feast of Strength Warfare. And looks like they do get that Scuttle as well. And they have pretty aggressive positioning. They know they really want this. Oh, and the Varus ultimate just completely whiffs as well. So some of the resources are already being spent on the side of Monkey Supreme. Can they take a fight here or not? The Braum ultimate does come through and connects. And let's see if they get any kills. But Chrome alone is continuing to add to their kill collection. A double kill now for Chrome alone. They cannot fight this, especially with Myth down. So looks like this bottom objective on this Drake is going to go over to the side of TFF Alfstronauts. Meanwhile, Orange is struggling in this top lane here, trying to do what they can to slow down this Mbessa. But the spacing is pretty strong here for TFF Alfstronauts, and they're going to get this Infernal Drake.
Almost a reverse of what we saw last game, with TFS able to get majority of the Voidlings and no dragons, but MKS is now getting the Voidlings with TFF getting the dragons. The thing that remains the same is TFF is having a very dominating early game, which then snowballs and sets the pace for the middle and late game. We might be seeing a 2-0 in favor of TFF.
Yeah, I mean, the real question is how do you slow down Ultimize and this Mbessa? I mean, luckily the turret still has a decent amount of health left, so they're not going to give away the second, the feats of strength right away there. but the orange just can't deal, you know, and Myth is going to try to help out, but we saw how that happened last time. You see Ultimice going in just under turret as well, not even worried about the damage from Steelfan and that turret. Myth and Steelfan looking like they might try to go for a gank, but at this point, I don't know if you can even take this fight. You know, Steelfan just already chunked so low, it's pretty much just like a 1v1 at this point, and Ultimice likes his odds in those situations.
Certainly does. Interesting statistics to bring in is that TFF has the record in the current league, or at least in the division, actually for both divisions, of the shortest average game time. Meaning that if they keep this advantage up, they are the team most likely to close out. Whereas Monkey Supreme is about middle of the pack with an average game time of 38 minutes, as TFS have an average of 27.
Yeah, TFF are definitely one seed for a reason, and Ultimice definitely win these top lane matches for a reason as well. Another solo kill goes over to Ultimice and this Imbessa. We saw Imbessa being banned from both games last week on Divinity League on the broadcast, but letting this Imbessa go through might have been a mistake.
Do you think that was a tactical choice or a possible overdraft due to pressure?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good
Oversight.
question, you know, and maybe, yeah, we just, you know, they didn't have to deal with any really strong and best players in the past, or, you know, there's just so many strong champions that now that it's easy to forget. We see the flash throw from Yukino on the Braum, but completely misses. We get the arrow connecting as well to the Glacial Fissure is going to come through, doesn't land either. Barolo is going to ult down to get some additional damage and shields, but a lot of resources spent on Yukino in this Braum, and unfortunately, none of it used quite well. And here we see another fight from Steelfan and Ultimice, and no solo kill going over to Ultimice just yet here, as Myth is going to help reinforce, but Wukong doesn't go over the wall with the clone here too. We get the forward charm from Alfei, and we get the pick off from Yukino now, knowing that Yukino doesn't have that ultimate ready.
Oh, instead he wins the race, and we see that they don't continue to take the fight, only opting to secure the 300 gold advantage they have already gotten. By choosing to break it off, they're able to reposition and prepare for, well, capturing the waves and the upcoming team fight or upcoming objective here in 2 minutes. Getting a reset to set those waves and build that tempo is going to allow them to secure that third objective. We do see Wukong going back to his clear path. He's not on dead time right now, and if he wants to operate the map, he needs to clear those before he falls behind in CS.
Speaking about falling behind in CS too, I mean, look at the goal difference, almost a 5k goal difference right now for the side of Monkey Supreme just being behind here. They are going to go for a gank here, 3-man gank, but Ultimice is going to land the public execution. I don't know if Ultimice can survive this, just too much CC between the Braum and the Ornn, and they finally do shut down that Imbessa. And actually quite a good shutdown, because they're not really getting much value from Alfstronauts in other lanes here. So good way to slow down the progress a bit. But I mean, the Ornn doesn't even have boots yet, so definitely still has quite a bit ways to go to kind of catch up to the economy of this Imbessa.
For you and me, that was a lot of CC, and perhaps exactly what MKS needs. Yes, that was a rhyme. Okay, so with the gold comeback they're able to get from the Imbessa, the shutdown is going to help them try to close up that gap. That gap is nearly 4,000 gold wide. We see a fight breaking on the bot lane. Ashe ult whiffs, misses, but they are able to create enough space to secure that bot lane tower. First blood tower going over the TFF, which now secures the their feats of something. What are they called? What's the name?
Feats of strength, yes.
Feats of strength.
A fancy feats is what they'll have after that as well too, as they're going to be slowly upgrading their boots after getting probably 2 or 3 of their items locked down. And it looks like Monkey Supreme, they're going to settle for a Rift Herald. They do have 6 scrubs as well, so they could really push the, you know, maybe the potential splitting power and taking these turrets, but not a Drake to their name yet. And, you know, we're talking about how strong Ultimice is, but Chrome alone is 5-0 so far. The root is going to land on Myth, but they're not going to chase that kill anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, the question is, how do you slow down this Ashe too? Because you got the Imbessa at the front line for you, and you're just getting shredded not only by the Imbessa, but also from the damage of this Ashe. As you see, both teams are starting to set up a fight for this bottom Drake. Just some poke damage here so far to start things off.
I don't think there's a way to get to the Ashe. Oh, and a fight breaks out. We see an engage coming through, and Imbessa is about to get... No, they take out the Braum. Braum goes down.
Yeah, Braum is going to go down. Myth is kind of caught by himself right here. Can he get a kill?
Oh!
No, doesn't. Getting a
So
kill on
close.
Ultimize would have been huge. Would be able to get a reset there, especially with the Mbessa would be massive to potentially start turning that fight. But unfortunately, the pick off on the Braum just set them in a really tough position, and Myth just kind of stuck by himself in that bush. And now we are on soul point for Alfstronauts. They're looking strong in this game.
That was had he got the reset, that was so close. The rest of the team could have collapsed. That was their moment to come back and to upset the game, and unfortunately, it just did not happen.
Well, we do have boots now for Ornn at least, so that is definitely going to be a slight upgrade to what he has. Arrow does land, but the quick assistance from Braum is going to slow down any further damage. Lord JK is going to try to poke from afar. 4 members on the side of Monkey Supreme is going to be here, and looks like Myth is going to go into his Rift Herald, trying to take down this turret. Chrome Malone is actually caught a little bit here, taking some decent poke damage here, but you know, has enough spacing to go to get to safety. Does take out that middle turret. However, the charm through comes in. Yukino with a great block on the Braum, and then also a great stun from Steel Fan, but unfortunately not able to get any follow-up damage or any knockups onto the side of Alfstronauts. So still a decent trade, I'd say, for the side of Monkey Supreme. No one goes down. They do get that mid-turret as well, too, to, you know, get some of that map control.
You know, there is opportunity in adversity. Unfortunately, though, I think they misread that play. I think the plan was to crash on the Herald, knock the tower down, and initiate a team fight there. But the tower was able to survive. They almost picked out the Ahri. Ahri still had her flash up and got over the wall and was able to walk away, mitigating the game. But it still was a net positive for MKS. We're now almost 20 minutes into the game. The score is 15-5 with a goal differential of over 4,000 in favor of TFF.
Myth is hungry for a blue buff steal here, but is the hunger going to be too greedy or not? Yukino is going to drop the Glacial Fissure in that choke point, getting a knockup, but the public execution comes through from Ultimice, going to shred the Varus. Well, that's so much of the damage. Myth goes down too. Braum is just caught by his lonesome. Lord JK has to continue running. Not enough damage between him and the Ornn, and looks like Otacon is going to be heading over to the side of Alfstronauts. It's going to be Voracious Otacon as well, and hey, you know, if you're Ultimizer, you're going to love this buff.
I believe this is going to be it. TFF is just too far ahead at this point to fall behind. And that buff is going to allow them to continue to play even more aggressively and snowball this game. We might see a game that beats their average of 27 minutes, meaning that we can possibly expect to see an end coming in the next 6. Interesting things that happen within those 6 minutes is going to be the dragon spawning in 2.
Yeah, and I wonder if this was even worth it, you know, to try to steal that blue buff. Yukino does land a Glacial Fissure, but like there's not really much damage. It's just used to peel, and then Ultimice knows that ultimate is down, just dives into that backline. Myth goes down, Varus goes down as well, and just not enough damage to do anything at this point too. Lord JK has to run. I mean, and just look at the stats, right? Just every lane just winning for the side of Team Alfstronauts, and they're the #1 seed for a reason. They're not looking like they're going to slow down anytime soon. Oh, Barlow actually getting caught a little bit here too. Yukino going for the concussive blows, trying to stun him up. Not quite it. And then the follow-up damage is pretty strong though. Chrome alone is shredding through the front line of Monkey Supreme. The knockup does land, but they have the Voracious Otacon buff, so they have no concerns as well. But they're also so far ahead too. A double kill going over the side of Chrome alone, looking for even more as well. Trying to get some pretty solid spacing to avoid the Syndra stuns and damage, and does quite a good job there too, taking out 3 members outside of Monkey Supreme, and I think only 2 of the Voracious Otacon buffs were even taken down. No, actually just 1. It was really just the Wukong, I think.
Only 1. That means only 100 gold. The buff only gives 100 per kill, meaning that in a 1-for-1 exchange, the advantage overwhelmingly goes to the team with the buff. In this case, by getting 3, that's 900 gold, and only gave 100 for it. Additionally, when you go down with the Otacon buff, you spawn back immediately, giving you a tempo advantage for the value of the death timers.
Yeah, I was mistaken. It was Oh, yeah, go ahead.
We should get like a bingo card start counting how many times that happens. But yeah, Temple's being spent to prepare for the dragon. We see the dragon coming up in 20 seconds for what's going to be a game-defining fight.
Yeah, I was gonna say I misspoke there too. I thought Sweevel and the Wukong was the one that lost Vicious Outcome buff. It was actually the Ari. It looks like Barlow is going to about to lose his as well too. Is going to be sent back to base, but Sweevel still has that buff as well. As it looks like the buff is just worn off, so they gotta be kind of careful here. And it looks like Yukino and the Braum is going down yet again. Does connect the Glacial Fissure, but just not enough. Steelbin just getting batted around as well. And Chrome alone and this Ashe is doing so much damage with no one to slow him down too. And you got Ultimate taking some of that turret damage. A quad kill for this Ashe. Looking for the Penta, but no one else alive on the side of Monkey Supreme to give that away. But things are just snowballing a little too fast for the side of TFF Alfstronauts. Over 11k lead already, 23 minutes in, and this looks like they're about to get Dragon Soul 2 on top of it.
Lead's going to increase. They got one tower, almost going to be two. They're going to keep pressing. They're going to get the Dragon Soul. And Baron spawns in a minute, so they can piggyback off of the momentum of this, get that, and close out the game. The Ashe is 12-0-10. That's 22 kill participation out of 26. I can't do quick math, but I imagine that's over 80% kill participation on that ADC. And this really comes down to the dynamics of the draft. When you have a front-to-back composition, you don't have a way to access the back line, and so you have to overwhelmingly win from the front through sustained damage, and they're just not able to do that with the early gold advantage built by TFF.
Yeah, I mean,
I got it right that time. There was only one T.
The only one T. And just look at this too, right? The fight's kind of destructive. Speaking of fights, there's another fight breaking through. Swevel trying to take down Myth. Myth, that's a run. Yukino is just getting shredded yet again. 8th death going over, and another kill going over to the side of Chrome alone. Looks like they're going to go straight for this Baron pit. And I mean, at this point too, they're so far ahead that even when they're down in numbers, it's just hard to take them out. And it looks like Steelfan, Stepbro try and do what they can to try to contest. I mean, this might be the final fight here, so they're going to try to do the best they can. Ornol does not land, unfortunately, on any members, and that's a really good sign for Alfstronauts because that's Ornol already down, and they know it's going to be even harder for Monkey Supreme to contest here. Barlow and A58 is going to try to do what they can here. We get the root coming through, followed up by the charm, and the damage is starting to add up against the Ornn. Ornn is pretty bulky, though. It's going to take that pretty well, but just finding the zoning that possible. Glacial Fissure is going to connect onto Senna, but not enough damage to do anything here at this point in time. And Bessa loves these skirmishes, and there's no damage enough to take down the side of Team Alfstronauts, and they get an entire ace here. Double kill going over to the side of Ultimize. I don't even think Chrome Malone was even doing damage in that fight, but it wasn't even needed.
Oh man, Ari I can't pronounce his name.
I think it's
Ari?
Alphiates.
I'll fight. No disrespect to his name. I just struggle with enunciation, as most professors do. Our verbal skill set is very similar to Doctor's handwriting. It's quite poor. Now, Ari, though, was able to get a substantial amount of damage in that fight. Great positioning, great flank. Threw out the Q before she got CC'd, allowing the initial burst of damage going in, and then the initial burst, well, not initial, but the follow-up damage coming back. Unsung hero that team fight, and I believe that she had a substantial impact, especially with her ult proccing off Malignance in that fight. We now see a push on the top side from TFF as they try to close out the game. They got 1 minute left before the game goes longer than their average, and I don't know if they're going to beat that average this game, but I can say with confidence that it's 26, almost 27 minutes into the game, score being 32-5 in favor of TFF, the probability of TFF closing out with a 2-0 today is looking very likely.
Yeah, and even if they don't really hit their standard quick games, no other team in Divinity League has so far been able to match their undefeated record, and they're looking to extend that further. I mean, just look at the stat lines, too. 13-0 and 14 Ashe. Already 3 items deep with the upgraded boots, too. Myth is going to skirmish a little bit with Swevel, but what can he really do against Wukong? And we get the public execution connecting on top of Myth. If that didn't connect, the arrow will surely going to connect as well, too. The amount of overkill on the side of TFF Alfstronauts is insane right now as they're looking to push with their Baron buff for another turret and inhibitor, and this might be the game too if Monkey Supreme doesn't pull off the miracle defense here. They could just only do as much as watch their turret go down. Inhibitor's going to go down as well. They need to wait for mid to buy them some slight time, but the Charm is going to connect. Ornn ultimate is going to come through as well. He's going to knock up a member, but where's the damage here? There's just not enough. Stepbro trying to do what he can, but is able to finally shut down the Wukong. However, all members of the side of Monkey Supreme is going to go down as well. Myth might have the resets, but not even going to get a single kill to get that to happen. And we see that Team Alfstronauts, TFF Alfstronauts, get the victory yet again. Another 2-0 for them, and the only team in Divinity League completely undefeated.
Congratulations, Team Alfstronauts. A phenomenal 2-0 victory, keeping up that undefeated record. Momentum is the way to go, and you are not taking it slow. You are moving forward to the post that we call the goal. Very proud of you guys for doing that, and I'm sure you're feeling it too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look at that damage from the Bessa as well. I mean, probably a lot of that was just stacking damage on the bulky Ornn, but just such a great team effort from everyone on the side of Alfstronauts. I mean, just, winning every single lane the second game. First game was a little bit close, but they're ready to close it out quick in the second one. And yeah, they're going to keep moving forward as that #1 seed in the Divinity League.
And looking at the damage is really interesting. Ari was only 600 points away from the Ashe, suggesting that perhaps they were outputting significant damage in these team fights. Ashe had a heavily, I would say, skewed KDA, with a lot of the kills being on her. And so to see that everybody on the team is playing their position and pulling their weight is probably part of the reason why they were able to be so successful today.
Definitely.
That game, gold differential 20,000, almost 20,000 by the end of that game. That's almost 1,000 gold per minute advantage.
37-6. That's a statement game if I've ever seen one. But again, big congrats to TFF Alfstronauts and of course Monkey Supreme. They definitely did their best. First game was definitely a lot closer, but I think that early invade fight in the second game just really kind of put them behind. And of course, Mbessa didn't look like she was slowing down anytime soon. But anyway, that's going to be week 2 for us at Titan Esports Divinity League. This is, as a reminder, a 7-week league, and then of course afterward we have 18 playoffs, so lots of action still. And of course all these teams are still duking it out off the broadcast as well, so we'll always do our best to give you an update on what the standings are looking like from week to week, even for our games that aren't on the broadcast. All right, and then of course